My name is Nigel. I'm 57 years old. Currently I'm not working. I'm just free and enjoying life at the moment. I've been doing yoga now for 3.5 years, and I can quite honestly say it's really changed my life. I initially started just to keep myself flexible. I didn't realise yoga was a philosophy and it can actually change your perspective on life. Yoga has really opened up my life. Coming to yoga and learning the philosophies of yoga and how it can transform the way you think about the world, your life and yourself. I now see things in a positive light. I see myself in a positive light. I have happiness inside of me, and it's my choice. So that's the biggest change that yoga's made on me. Where I was in life was my choice, and I was trapped in my mind. And realising that for the first time really in my life gave me a sense of freedom, and freedom is the one thing I've been looking for. Because of the positive aspects of what I've learnt through yoga, I am starting to live my dream life, and there's a lot more energy around building my life. When I first started looking at yoga classes, I particularly wanted to do classes with other men because I felt like women were more supple, more flexible, and I would feel slightly intimidated by that. So I preferred to look for classes that were men only. I think a lot of men don't do yoga because they see it as a female pastime, and it's not really a manly thing to do. Also, they probably don't realise just how much strength is involved and how much it exercises all of your muscles, not just the few muscles that weights or running would exercise. Yoga exercises your whole body, and I think a lot of men don't realise that, which is why they probably don't do yoga.
Frozen flows of angel hair and ice cream cars, souls in the air.
I'm George, I'm 25. I graduated 2 years ago and now live and work in London. So yoga is a large part of my life, and I also enjoy playing the ukulele.
I've looked at love from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds, illusions I recall.
I first started yoga a few years ago now when I was in my final year of university, and I had my final exams coming up, so I wanted something that would de-stress me and keep me calm and focused. And a friend suggested a class, and I went along and I really enjoyed it, and it became something I did every week.
Arms over your head. And straight.
It's had so many benefits. Physically, I'm a lot more flexible. My range of movement has increased. I feel stronger too. So a lot of the yoga poses focus on physical strength as well. And that's something that's really benefited my running and my physique as well. You know, I like the way I look as well. And it's more engaging than just going to the gym and doing weights, which I find is a bit boring, a bit pointless really. So yoga has given me sort of applied strength and fitness. But it hasn't just been physical differences that I've noticed. I've also noticed I'm a lot calmer as a person. And you know, when I come out of a yoga class, I almost feel like I'm walking on air, and I sleep a lot better as well. But that's something that, you know, and continues for several days after a class. And I find my week is a lot smoother and after a class.
Come up a little bit higher. Inhale fully, expand your vessel.
I'm Neil. I'm 49. I've been practicing yoga properly for 3 years, but on and off for about 15 years. I think, like a lot of guys who go to the gym and do a lot of exercise, I came to yoga as a way of counteracting all the weight training and all the kind of gym work. And the initial thing was I wanted to do something that stretched the muscles and work them in a different way rather than kind of always just crushing them and pumping them. Year or so I've completely stopped going to the gym, and I just have a regular daily practice now. The biggest change I've noticed has been physically, well, both in terms of health and also kind of just my body physically in general. Health-wise, I've been getting a lot less coughs and colds and things. I used to suffer quite a lot in the winter. I'd get about 5 or 6 colds a year now. I feel a lot more energised and a lot more healthy. And physically I feel better, I feel stronger, I feel more robust. But also mentally I think I do feel a lot calmer most of the time inside. I suppose it's that meditative thing again, it's getting to a state where you can just, in the middle of all the chaos, just kind of switch off and remember where you were when you were doing warrior or whatever asana you were doing, and recapture that moment again. But only from regular practice. I think when I was dipping into it, I never really understood that you could get to that stage, or you could recreate that feeling. And I think there are other aspects of yoga. I think the group cohesiveness, the camaraderie of the class, I think was really nice and was a kind of refreshing change. The yoga classes I'd done before, especially when I was doing them before that, often I would be the only guy in the class, and you'd feel a bit kind of awkward, and you'd scuttle away at the end of the class. And it was quite nice actually to sit and talk to people after the class about your practice. Doing yoga with other guys has been really interesting, because it's good being in a class with people who have the same physical limitations as you. Maybe not limitations, but their bodies are structured in the same way as yours, and they don't bend in quite the same way as women's bodies. There was something different about working with other guys, and there was a different energy in the room as well. I think there is a different energy in the room when there are guys there, and in a positive way. When I used to go to mixed classes, I used to find it difficult. I don't know whether it was in my head, but I'd feel that the women were kind of looking down their nose at me, or wondering what I was doing there because I didn't move in the same way that they moved. And actually being in a class with other blokes, they kind of get it. They move in the same way, their bodies are structured in the same way, they understand. And the first kind of yoga class I did, guys were really supportive. It's kind of, everyone was talking afterwards. How did you find that? What was that like for you? And even during the class, actually, people were really helpful and kind, and made you feel welcome, made me feel welcome, which I didn't always get before.
Shoot the energy deep in your breath. Nigel, lift your chin, smile for me. Good. Deep in your breath.
I'm David Marzella. I'm from Scotland. I've been in London since 1977. I've been doing yoga for about 4 years. I was looking for something, but trying to look back, I can't remember what it was in particular I was looking for. I mean, I think since I started doing yoga, I could say I found things that I was looking for, but I didn't know at the time that's what I was looking for, if that makes sense. I was looking for a class, but there wasn't any that was convenient, and then I found one online that was a man's class. So I went along and checked that out, and it was very good. So I guess I've been doing it ever since.
straight, lift your chin. And then switch.
I think the main thing I've learned from yoga is like the interconnection of everything. I mean, I understand yoga to be the union of mind, body and spirit. That's what I've experienced, and especially in my body, which I think beforehand I was more in my head than in my body. So I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned from it. I started doing yoga at 58, and it was the first physical exercise I did as an adult. I was very stiff, and I still am very stiff to an extent. And I don't feel I'm particularly good at doing much of the physical practice. I try my best and do what I can do, but to me, although most people see that as being maybe the most important thing about yoga, it's much more about the philosophy. And the physical practice is only one part, maybe even a small part of the whole philosophy of connecting the mind, body and spirit together. When I started doing yoga with the men's class I went to, it was a Sunday afternoon, so we used to go out for a meal afterwards. So the social side of it was very important, and again it was all about connection, going out and socialising and having a meal and drinking together, and that was a very significant part of it for me as well. Although it wasn't yoga practice as such, it wasn't in the class, but it was outside of the class. It was like a continuation of the class, of making that connection and keeping a connection.
3 breaths in your child pose. Yeah.
We all went away on a retreat together to the south of France, and we spent a week together doing yoga, but also did some other things like other types of massage and meditating, and so it was a very good experience doing that together.
Exhale, back.
I think men obviously can get a lot from doing yoga, and it's obviously not just for women or young people or thin people or white people, it's for all people. Fat, thin, black, white, everybody, you know, men and women. The more people that do it together, the better. It's not a competition who can do it the best or who looks the best. It's for everybody to do what they can. There's nothing right or wrong or good or bad. You just do what you can and do it as best as you can.
To say I love you right out loud, and dream schemes and circus crowds. I've lived a life that way. I've lived a life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions. I recall, I really don't know life. I really don't know life.